I hope you enjoy my stories. Instead of just clicking thumbs down, please comment and share how we can do better. If you do like our video, then please like and subscribe.
Overhead lights were subdued in the early morning hours at the bar. Frank sat at one of the tables near the door, waiting for his meeting with Jon. Off in the distance, sounds of construction and hammering could be heard. They were not too distracting, merely background noise. For the past month, renovations had been running rampant. The entire front to the building was now shrouded in scaffold and plywood protection. The plywood had been brightly painted, but its main purpose was to hide construction and protect the public. The entrance into the bar remained unchanged except for the small tunnel through the scaffolding. Frank took a minuscule sip from his takeaway coffee and looked at the front doors. The outside world was evident, scant amounts of traffic going past, and the sun was shining. Far too early to be alive, he thought as he idly sipped at his coffee. We're late, Belinda. What is keeping you? Jon inquired as he impatiently strode up and down the bridge of the ship. Quit making my job difficult, she retorted back. Whatever you're doing can wait. I have a meeting with Frank, and he expects me to be on time. I warned you about the show. I told you I could probably not hide the energy signatures. Then, to make it worse, you forced me to be your assistant for the show. I wasn't here to monitor or make adjustments. If they were scanning this particular universe at that time, you have been discovered. Before you start, yes, I know, you closed down the mine. That hardly counts because now you are using all the androids for the renovations at that building. I have to make adjustments before we can leave for your silly meeting. Changing the subject, Jon asked, Are you wearing perfume? You told me that for this meeting you wanted, and I need to be, what was your word, presentable. It is common for women on this planet to decorate and alter their smell. I selected what I found to be appropriate. Do you want further modifications? No, not at all. You smell wonderful. How much longer are your adjustments going to take? They are almost complete. It would go faster if you quit bothering me. Jon grinned at her, and then made his way to his chair. He sat down and folded his arms and closed his eyes. When you're finally done playing, wake me up, he said as he pretended to sleep. Ignoring his remark, Belinda's deft fingers played over the console, watching the screens for changes. A burst of light appeared as the front doors sprang open, almost blinding Frank. He brought his hand up to shield his eyes, spilling his coffee on the table. He quickly grabbed at some napkins to wipe up the mess. Good morning, Frank. Sorry we were late. Women take forever to get ready. Belinda faced Jon and gave him an evil look and was about to say something but thought better of it. So instead turned and smiled at Frank. Frank, you remember my assistant Belinda from the show? Looking slightly embarrassed, Frank continued to stare Belinda, and finally managed to avert his eyes. He looked down at the mess of napkins in front of him. She would be a little hard to forget, Jon. Frank, my dear man, you have a little crush on Belinda? Stuttering, Frank replied, No, Jon, that's not it. There are just some aspects of her that are similar to my wife. It is a little eerie. Please don't take offense, Belinda. You are a very beautiful woman, and so was my wife. How I ended up with somebody that beautiful, I'll never know. You just remind me of her, that's all. Thank you so much for the compliment, Frank. Where is your wife? Shouldn't she be at this meeting as well? Belinda asked innocently. Frank lowered his eyes to the floor as his hands fumbled about with his coffee. Without looking up, he said very quietly, She died. Oh, Frank, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm very, very sorry for your loss, Belinda said apologetically as she reached over to touch Frank's arm. It's okay. It's been several years. I just miss her. Jon intently watched the interplay, looking for his opportunity to become part of the conversation. There was nothing he could add. Instead, he sought to change the mood. Frank, losing someone who is very dear to us is always difficult. We have all suffered losses in our lives in various ways. The memories are what we keep. You have many memories of her, and I'll wager that you keep the very best memories in the forefront. We'll talk a little business and see if that will put a shine back in your eyes. Belinda's hand was still on Frank's arm as he reached with his other hand to put it over hers in a gesture of thanks. Okay, Jon, I made a decision. Whether or not it's a good decision remains to be seen. However, I decided to take you up on your offer. Now we'll discuss what changes and what doesn't change. He let go of Belinda's hand and gestured behind at the bar. That is what I think of when I think of my bar. For a long time I've stood behind the bar, serving customers. That stays. That is not negotiable. Damn near everything else is, but that bar stays. There's a certain amount of sentimental attachment between you and that old bar. I understand that. It is also one of the main features that I would have insisted on keeping. The bar top is of exquisite design and flawlessly ornate. The craftsmanship all by itself is spectacular. I agree with your Frank, the bar stays. Frank looked relieved and settled back in his chair more comfortably. "Belinda, could you be a dear and fetch us a couple of scotches?" Jon asked. Frank looked over Belinda and said, "None for me. It's way too early in the morning to drink. I've been telling Jon that for years. He never listens. Most of the times it's like dealing with a spoiled child," she said in a soft voice as she stood making her way towards the bar. "Are you two married?" Frank asked. "Married? Heavens no, she's too hard to get along with. Way too many opinions that she inflicts upon me randomly. She's my assistant and I suppose colleague perhaps," Jon said with a small laugh. Frank's eyes seemed to brighten a bit as he got lost in his own thoughts. "Okay, Frank, we both agreed we keep the bar. Is there anything else that you need or want?" Arriving back at the table, Belinda deposited a small tumbler containing ice and dark amber liquid. "Why is there ice in my scotch?" "The main reason, Jon, is that you don't get enough water. There is water in the ice. Quit complaining and just drink it. If you don't like what I have served you, get up and get it yourself," she said, annoyed. Frank, distracted, was unable to voice any words. He sat looking at Jon with a wistful look on his face and then noticed both looking at him. "No, just the bar. Everything else can be changed. I don't really have an opinion on anything else. Just the bar," he said, repeating himself. "Okay, Frank, we will definitely salvage the bar. No problems there. I have a few other ideas. One is expanding the bar here. I would like it to be 3 to 4 times the size it is now but still incorporate your serving bar. As well, upstairs, I would like to put in a private club. Now, I don't know what your living arrangements are currently. However, we have constructed a suite for you on the 3rd floor. I will also have an apartment on that floor," Jon said happily. "An apartment for me here?" "Why, yes, Frank, a large apartment filled with all the modern conveniences. The apartment is just about complete and Belinda was responsible for the decoration. I think you'll like it. Now you don't have to move into it. You can just use it as a convenience whenever you don't feel like going home. Conversely, you can move into a full-time if you like. That will be part of the deal. You get the apartment upstairs gratis." "I don't know what to say, Jon. There's nothing to say, Frank. This is a business arrangement that will benefit both you and I. I will ensure that it succeeds. Did you hire a barrister to look over the contracts?" "Yes, I did, Jon, but he is rather pricey." "The cost doesn't matter. I'll make sure you are reimbursed for any costs incurred. What I suggest is that we let the lawyers hammer out all the final details. After that, we just sign. Is that acceptable?" "I suppose," Frank said sheepishly. "I really don't understand any of the legalese anyways. How would like to see what we've been up to?" "Do you mean with the construction, all the noise I hear?" "I suppose that's one way to put it. Yes, besides the outside construction to renovate the building. The crews have been working non-stop on the interior. I'll wager that you'd be quite surprised at how far along everything has gotten." Jon finished his scotch in one fluid motion and set the glass down in the center of the table as he stood up. "Follow me, Frank, to your future," he said with excitement. Jon opened the large ornate double doors to the other area of the building and gestured at Frank and Belinda to enter. Frank stared in amazement at the sheer splendor. The entire area was like walking into the early 18th century. Large candle holders hung from the ceiling, providing a soft glow of light. He could swear they were real candles. The entire place displayed hand-carved woodwork in a fashion not done in hundreds of years. Towards the back was an exact duplicate of his bar. "How could you have possibly made that bar?" "Frank, we have the finest craftsmen I could find. They took photos and measurements of every minor detail and assured me it could be done. As you can see, it has been done. Now rest assured, the original will still be utilized," Jon said emphatically. Ronnie rushed out of nowhere and flung his arms around Belinda, giving her a big warm hug. "Belinda," he said, "they said you wasn't coming today. I'm so glad you're here. I missed you. I haven't seen you since Monday. Nobody wants coffee, just you and Jon want coffee. Well, Jon wants stuff in his coffee but without the coffee, but you just want coffee. You want me to do you coffee?" Belinda looked at him affectionately and reached over to take his face in her hands. "Ronnie, this would just be a short visit today. Tomorrow I will come and spend most of the day with you. Right now, Jon has to show Frank around. Would you like to help with that?" "Oh yes, Belinda, anything for you. I will help show Frank everything. Is that other man Frank?" Belinda nodded. Ronnie almost bounced towards Frank, holding out his hand. "I'm Ronnie. My job is to bring coffee and sometimes little lunches. Do you want coffee? I am really good at getting coffee," he said, extending his hand. Frank looked over at Jon as Ronnie grasped his hand and shook furiously. "Jon, you are as bad as I am, always trying to take care of the underdog." "I don't have a dog," Ronnie said, confused. "Not to worry, Ronnie. Perhaps next year, when you're ready, we'll get you a dog," Belinda said. Ronnie smiled his biggest smile at her and wandered away. "He really is a good kid," Jon said. He just needs to be directed and taught properly. That would be Belinda's job. She has taken over caring and teaching him. I might add she's doing a wonderful job. The boy has an excellent memory. He's just incapable of utilizing it correctly thus far. Anyways, what do you think of the new bar, or club if you prefer? Wow, Jon, I'm impressed. You have only been working on this for 6 weeks. I don't how you got so much done in such little time. I've never seen workmanship like this. There is more. The kitchen in the bar was far too small. I've put the new kitchen on this side, and it should easily be able to accommodate 12 chefs plying their trade. Types and styles of food we can discuss later. Belinda took the opportunity to find a chair at a nearby table and talked with Ronnie while business was being discussed. Small waves of conversation could be heard over the noises of construction. Ronnie contently sat at the table across from her. He no longer squirmed in his chair. He paid full attention to everything she was saying. Frank, the only concession I wanted to make is that Ronnie stays employed here. I may have to go away for a while. Sometimes I disappear for months on end. I want you to always find something for him to do. Some small task of some sort. You'll find him extremely helpful if you give him the right direction and are clear and concise in your instructions, Jon said. That will never be a problem, Jon. Then, Frank, I think we're probably about done here for today. It'll take the work crews at least another 4 weeks to have this side perfect. We'll then temporarily open from this side while we work on the other side. At some point, we'll knock down the adjoining walls and have one huge club. I'll have the lawyer set everything into motion, and within a week or so we should have the papers to sign. As for your suite upstairs, it's not quite ready yet, but within a few days it'll be finalized. We can take a tour then. I don't know why you've done all this, Jon. I'm flabbergasted that you want me to be a partner in all of this. The only thing I have to contribute is my skill as a bartender. You have far more than that, Frank. You have integrity. You've demonstrated your caring for those around you and those in need. These are very rare qualities. Most only think about themselves and ignore the world around them. Even through all your pain and suffering at your losses, you've still taken the time to help others. All of that is what makes you a valued partner in this business arrangement. Thank you, Jon. I think you've made my year. I'm going to head off home now and get some needed sleep. I'm not used to being up this early.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.